part of the way he got here was Chad mentioning him to you. Just tell us that story. How did that come about?
I went down to the Senior Bowl. Like to do that occasionally, just when our guys are playing in the game to support our guys. It's kind of a coaches convention for pro coaches and all that. So I just like going, watching, seeing people. And Coach Morris was there that day with Coach Sweeney at Clemson and a couple of their other coaches. And briefly it was, hey, how you doing on the sideline, watching one of the teams practice for, 30 seconds. It was very brief. I flew back to Charlotte that night. I landed about 10 p.m. and had to drive back to Blacksburg, and I was checking my voicemails, and I had a voicemail from Chad Morris, and I'm thinking, what is he calling me for? And he was calling to start, talking about Mike and that he may be looking to transfer from Texas Tech and how high he was on him. And about Statesville, I called Scott, and it was getting late, and next morning we had a staff meeting, I guess, and kind of got the ball rolling on that from that standpoint. So I've, Chad's called me kind of periodically throughout the summer, last week as well, just to check up on Mike and how he's doing, and it's been a win-win for everybody, and that's what he said. Hopefully best case scenario is we get to play against each other in Charlotte, but we don't play here for a while, and he's a great kid and has a chance to be a great player, was his message to us. Surprising
at all? I mean, you mentioned you're not on the schedule, but you are in the conference together. Surprising that?
A little bit. When he called me, his name was getting mentioned for different jobs and things like that. So I'm like, wow, there's a lot of things that are rolling through your head when he calls. He's asking for coaches. I don't know, who knows what he's calling for. The last thing I thought he was calling me for was about Michael. But yes and no. We've got a lot of respect for Clemson. I got to know Dabo very well when I was at South Carolina, and some of those guys on that staff I've worked with at different places, so I think it's a very strong mutual respect towards us in Clemson, maybe more so than other programs that we play. And it is kind of rare going to the conference. If we were playing on this year or next year, I'm not sure he would have been as willing to call, but certainly appreciative of him calling and getting the ball rolling on that.
I know it's sort of a fluid thing. I think at the end of spring you said Trey, JC, and Marshawn are probably your top three at that point. With Marshawn being out now and obviously the competition gearing up out there, how do you view that competition?
Good question.
At this point?
It's a lot of bodies over there right now. I don't think you can really tell anything until we put on pads. Right now you're evaluating mentally, what have they retained, what have some of these new guys learned, how they worked over the summer, do you have the footwork down, do you have the steps, the reads, all that stuff. You can tell all that, but until you put on pads, you really don't know, and you can't really get a fair assessment. So yes, to answer your question, that's probably how it would be right now. I think Trey and JC, just based on seniority, are kind of our top two guys right now. Joel and Jerome have been here longer than the next two, and then after that, Shy and DJ are working, and Marshawn's hurt. So that's kind of how we're practicing right now. But until you get on pads, you can sit there and on video, we're not tackling. I think he would break that tackle right there, but so it's hard to evaluate until you get the pads on, because now you get into pass protection. As we add more and more offense each day, you're evaluating how you're able to retain stuff and where they are mentally. So there's a lot of things, but that's kind of how they're working right now. But it'll sort itself out here once we get full pads on and start scrimmaging and those type things.